Well, long story. Let's start. A short one, maybe make it very short and sweet. I was in this part of the world, and in New Zealand as well, more than 20 years ago, as a traveler before I became a monk. And so I spent a couple of years in Australia and New Zealand. And on my way back home to Germany, I traveled overland, and traveling through Thailand, I ended up in the monastery, in Ajahn Monastery, in the international branch monastery, and this is where I stayed. Exactly, yeah. And funny enough, while I was in Australia and New Zealand, I was becoming interested in the practice in Buddhism, and I was actively looking also for monasteries, but I couldn't find any. And again, I go to Thailand, and boom, straight away, Luang Por Chah's Parami. And I met some people in Bangkok. I met Ajahn Karuniko and Ajahn Achlo. He's not a Kiwi, he's an Aussie. Exactly, yeah, he's from this area. And so they said, well, if you're interested, why don't you try Wat Banana Chad? And so it happened, yeah. I ended up in Wat Nana Chad and stayed, became a monk. Or first of all, white clad, and then novice monk, and then full monk, yeah. And well, it's not the end of the story. This is where it starts. And from Thailand on, I went all around the world. I spent a few years in Thailand. See, this is the lifestyle, the homeless life that the Buddha was living himself, and also encouraged for the bhikkhus, bhikkhunis. I spent 3.5 years in Thailand, and then I went back to Europe and spent many years in Europe. The majority of my life as a bhikkhu in Europe, in various places, various monasteries, various countries. And in fact, then, maybe 3 years ago, a bit more than 3 years ago, I've heard about Vimutti in Auckland, and a friend invited me to come over there, and it was just after the pandemic as well, so it was a bit more interesting as traveling. My father sadly passed away before the pandemic, and my mom, she died a few years earlier, so for me, that was the reason why I was in Europe, for my parents. I wanted to be close to them, which was great. Was really good to be with them when they was getting unwell, and so there was nothing really holding me there, and I decided, okay, maybe go to New Zealand. And at the same time also Vimutti went through a bit of a depression, and so was suggested maybe for the time being, have it lay fallow. And so then I said, there's another monastery, because my mind was already in this direction. So I decided to go to Bodhinyanarama, and that happened fairly quickly. Yeah. Exactly. Many of you know him, yeah. He's been here, yeah. Exactly, yeah. Sorry?
We believe your previous life is Buddhist.
Yes.
When you return this life, you keep on that way.
Yes. Well, exactly. This is the karma, the directionality, and this is also so important, for all of us as practitioners, to head in a wholesome way. And like the practice of sila, samadhi, and panya, we're setting ourselves up in the right direction. And specifically, say, when we face old age, when we're getting closer to the biggest obstacle for us humans, because we know our mortality, and this is also why for us as humans, to have a mind, a thinking mind, it's a great blessing, but also a burden, because we can reflect, we can know about our ending, which is looming in a way. But then we have also the possibility to.
Do you get panicked at all, having nothing at all?
Myself?
Yes.
No. This was saying the practice is quite helpful. It's very helpful, yeah. Because the more you have, I think this is where the panic is coming from. The more difficult is also to let go of that. And it's not a bad thing. Say, for instance, just, we're having our loved ones, we're having family. Of course, we don't want to see them alone. We want to be there for them, with them, and share, the time with them. And this is just so natural, it's so human to have it, but also that can be an obstacle when it comes to the big and to the final letting go, death. So, and practice is helpful, really, it's really helpful when it comes to that, Yeah, and just sharing before you came in with Ajahn Dhammasya, about being a monk, and I don't think about leaving the monk life. Of course, it's natural too. Sometimes, people do come and you ordain as a monk, and then you also disrobe. It's part of life. It's just a normal cycle. Yeah, but I said to Ajahn, doesn't cross my mind at this stage of my life. I never say never, but for sure, like the buoyancy that the practice gives me is just, it's very sweet. It's very sweet, but yet also very, very powerful, and
Is there anyone in Vimukti now?
There's a few monks in Vimutti. Kavadacha, remember him from here, yes. Yes, he was here. And the others you probably wouldn't know. Venerable Ajahn Kusalachitto, he was visiting here. Yeah, he's there at the moment too, yeah. And then in a few days' time, another monk who is residing there, Venerable Sampano, he might visit here for a short while, yes. So this is the situation there, yeah. And it's with those monasteries as it is with life, they go through ups and downs. Yeah, but for us it's so important when we do the practice, whether we are monastics or whether we are just lay practitioners, to observe these ups and downs as we go through life, instead of becoming so involved, ingrained with the ups and downs, because this is the way of the world. But the Buddha offered us a way out of that, the way of the Dhamma, so we can take a step back and be the observer rather than the sufferer.
There was video photos of the old monastery, Ajahn sharing, and there were no toilets, and they were washing their face
Oh.
in the newsletter.
Oh, okay. That was Bodhinyanarama in the very early days. Yes. Exactly, yeah.
He looks very young.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, it's been 40 years now. It's been 40 years, yeah. So it's, Ajahn Dhammasya was saying he's here for 19 years now. Yeah, and Bodhinyanarama, we have 40 years. It's one of the oldest branch monasteries of Wat Nong Papong Ajahn Chah's monastery in the west, yeah. 1985.
They used to send monks from Wellington and Chithurst to Wellington.
Oh,
They changed the abbot.
Yes, yes, yes. Exactly, exactly, yeah. And now it's well established. Now it's well established, yeah. And also in terms of the lay support, we have a very special place too, because we have so many different communities. I did count. Last year we had the Katina, and we had like, instead of having one, say, money tree, yeah, where people could contribute, we had like 12. So we had 12 different communities, you know, Sinhala people, we had the Thai, Laotian, Burmese, Cambodian, and so on and so forth. Yeah, yeah. So it's quite diverse there. Yeah.
Can you speak Thai, Ajahn?
No, I forgot. It's just, yeah, when you go somewhere and you pick up the language, but then you also forget. Yeah, yeah.
So was it difficult for you to be in Thai and stay with the Thai monks without speaking too much Thai? Was it difficult to learn Buddhism from that point?
No, because I choose this international monastery, Wat Banana Chart, and that was, we spoke English there. Yeah, and so therefore my Dhamma language is English as well, and so it's not a problem. And now the abbot, he's even German. So you see, we have many German abbots around the world. Yeah. Yes. And actually, one English monk I spoke to on the phone before making this decision to go there, he really recommended that. He is not part of this association, but he said it's good to go there because, you know, growing up in the West, you know, I have a Catholic background, and sometimes you go to a small monastery, which was my original idea, but the way Buddhism is practiced there might be disappointing for you. You know, you have, and you don't. Secondly, you don't understand what's going on. No one can explain to you what's happening. And so therefore I was really happy to go to this place. And then after some time, the system over in Thailand is a bit more open. So you go to monastery and you walk around, you wander around, and you're not so stationary. And so therefore the longest I've ever spent in my mother monastery, my home monastery, was like 5 months consecutive. And then I always, you go on wandering, what they call tudong. You visit a branch monastery and then you spend a rains retreat somewhere else. So which is, yeah, very much reflecting what the Buddha was doing as well. Here in the West it's a bit more fixed because we do not have so many monasteries. There's not that infrastructure, and so people tend to stay a little bit longer. Also, it's not quite so easy, say, specifically when you have to go internationally, overseas, and it's a lot work with the visas, health insurances, and expenses as well. So this is, I spent 9 months with Luang Por Liam in Wat Nong Papong, and that was very good but very challenging. We were working a lot. A lot. Yeah. Are you from Thailand? Oh. We just ordained a novice monk. I was just saying that to the friends here a few days ago from Vietnam. He is in our monastery in Bodhinyanarama now. He is a Samanera, a novice monk, yeah. And he came about 18 months ago. And then he did the Anagarika training, was wearing white clothes, and then just recently doing the rains retreat, became a Samanera, yeah. Over here you don't see so many Anagarikas, you don't do Anagarika training here. Did it ever happen? No. It's too small, huh?
In Melbourne they do.
Exactly.
Ajahn
Yes. Yeah, I just met Harley, who was an Anagarika there, yeah. Also, a friend of mine who passed away, Tani Ho, we were together in Thailand 20 years ago. He's an Australian, you might have heard, and he passed away 9 months ago in Buddha Bodhivana. He was not that old, 2 years older than me. Maybe some of you have met him when he was visiting or so, yeah.
And he's recent Kachilwan in New Zealand, because it is said that rugby union is the strongest religion there.
We had one Sunday. We have Sunday. This is our practice day. What we have here today, we have it every Sunday. So we start the Sunday morning. People come. We have some quiet meditation. We do some chanting, some reflection. We offer Sanghadana, 5 precepts are offered. And then throughout the afternoon there is meditations. Sitting meditation, walking meditation, and then in the evening at 6 we have a puja again, and there is a Dhamma talk as well. And since I'm there, the only Sunday I can remember when no one came to the Dhamma talk was when the All Blacks they lost the final. It was just recently, maybe 1.5 years or so ago, to South Africa, I believe. Yeah. No one came. The country was dead. Yeah, big. So I'm not too sure about rugby union and so on. I'm football. I'm German. But yeah, admittedly, it's quite strong there. Yes.
Champion before a game, he used to go to the temple in Wellington and meditate and they come and play.
Oh, okay. Now we're speaking tennis?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, who is the player?
Novak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was Wellington champion.
Yeah. Possible. There is a temple in Wimbledon. I was visiting there, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just look at the bare facts, just practicing or just being in a calm environment has a very supportive effect. And you feel for yourself, just being here, why you come here today, it's there's something to be gained, yeah. And this is not a selfish gain, It's more like a gain of well-being, which facilitates letting go of selfishness, So this is for us, for every human being, what we aspire, because it's also the way towards non-suffering and happiness. And so fortunate, that we encountered the teaching of the Lord Buddha, that we can, also live in a place, where it is practiced, and we can come together as a sangha here. So perfect, that's very good. But even just, on Djokovic level, if it's beneficial, why not? Yeah, make good use of it. Yeah. You see also all those tennis players, they are so different, yeah. You have Djokovic, you have Federer, and different personalities, But this is also something which we can figure out by ourselves as we're doing the practice, that the personalities, we are having, they are, you could say, can't do much about our personalities. It's just, we have them, Some of us a bit more quiet, others a bit more maybe bubbly, and other, just an example comes into my mind, someone who had birthday today, some are full of energy, yeah, and we all have different personalities, but personalities, these are just, the surface, but the Dhamma is really also the way, getting beyond our personalities, which we can encounter due to the practice, and this is where the richness is, the richness of life and the richness of being. And then personalities, we can live also with our own personality, which for some people might be also a bit struggling, or not struggling, but maybe a bit challenging too. But also, of course, for us, it's others, it's other beings as well, their personalities. We are more able to accommodate that and accept that. And this is great gain of the practice, living in this acceptance, having this ground of acceptance and surrender. This is something we can find for ourselves in this present moment, because there is always the opportunity to surrender to any given moment, to any given circumstance. And then whatever happens, we greet it, we let it in, and this is the practice. So we don't have to go searching then, or trying to fix ourselves, fix others, try to change. That's a difficult thing to do. We see it for ourselves, but change will come. Change will come when we live in acceptance, because we, instead of focusing in, we opening up more to the here-ness, the now-ness, the way things are. And that gives us more space. And this space, we can occupy. And so you can say even what we call a limited self, that becomes more spacious, that becomes bigger, that gives us more ground. And that is acceptance. That's acceptance. What is going on, acceptance of the present moment, without resistance. And it doesn't mean we have to accept everything. No, it's actually acceptance is living a life also in understanding, because it's that understanding, that wisdom, that facilitates this acceptance, because we see a little bit deeper, we see the causes and effects, we see the conditions arising, we see how we function, what triggers us, or what makes us laugh, what makes us, appreciate, what makes us joyful. And we understand that for ourselves, we understand that for others. So, and in a way, we are not so difficult then, even though our personalities are so different. You see it in so many ways, but this is a basic human function. And this understanding, this is, freeing. That frees us then also to be.
Okay. Do you think some of that personality is very karmic though? It's very hard, there's a lot of... Do you let it dissipate? Because a lot of it comes from somewhere else. The personality traits.
Sure, yeah.
But you can watch it but not overcome or control it, so do you just let it... When you say acceptance, is it just letting it dissipate?
You could say so, yeah. Just say a bit more, explain a bit more.
Like, say, people could have a lot of anger or anxiety and they can't overcome that, even if they can sit with it, but it stays there.
Mm.
And it's just, it keeps going, like you keep reacting that way.
Mm.
Somewhere else, it's just like a trigger,
Mm.
Like, how does one overcome those things?
Mm.
Or even like being reserved, or,
Yes.
They're that kind of personality.
Yeah, and yes, it's
Comes from somewhere, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
and that cannot change. Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is the mere acceptance of it. Okay, this right now, right here, is like this. This is what it is, and but this is the ground already. Then and because you are then not in a place of trying to manipulate, trying to run away, trying to change, trying to do anything. But then exactly this change can happen. You might be able to, coming from a place of understanding, to facilitate changes if they are needed. Sometimes there's no need for it, yeah. So of course, many times we have this as practitioners. There's this assumption, we just stay with it, and not do anything. But that is not right either. At times there is need for change, and there is need to do things. But if we come from reactivity, from desire, from aversion, it normally ends up being quite messy. It can be, because we come from an emotion. Whereas if we come from a place of acceptance, we open up the space, and there might be some time, a few seconds, a few minutes, where we intuitively, on a gut level, understand also better, okay, this is the situation at hand, and then we can act accordingly with mindfulness, wisdom, whatever is needed.
Because whatever comes up, it's gone, and it just disappears. And if we see that, is that the peace we're looking for?
Yes. Yeah, because peace doesn't mean, there's nothing happening. There is just a blank. It's a very, very special state, and but the real peace is also an activity, and it can be with thoughts, with emotions, with memories, with plannings. But non-attachment to ideas and feelings doesn't mean not having any ideas and feelings. It just means not attaching to them, not identifying with them. And this is exactly where the peace lies, where the peace is.
So I thought we might have a wrong view about this when we talk about peace or calmness in meditation. I think we all say, I don't know about the other, but I myself think that maybe it's a long-term quietness, like hours without thoughts, and then I thought, oh, that's not what it is after my practice.
Yes.
At the beginning, I thought that you must sit there for an hour and you don't think anything. And there must be calm, true calm, but then I realized that that's not what we are aiming for.
Yes. And I mean, just look at yourself in your life, your mother. How difficult that would be, to get there. And just generally, just the limitations, the human limitations that we have. It's a long, difficult ride, wherever suffering arises, exactly here and there's also the opportunity for peace to arise, or the ending of suffering. And I'm glad that you say that, because you figured it out for yourself. And this really, that is real insight. And that will be your guide, yeah. And in a way, when you asked the question, you knew the answer for yourself already.
I need someone
No, don't. But you feel it. You know what peace is, and that peace that doesn't need any conceptual clarification or someone else to prove it. No, you know it, and this is really what the practice is. Is that self-knowledge? The self-knowledge is actually that is a non-knowledge because it's beyond the mind. Well, where else? Things do arise. Things do arise, absolutely. But when we live in that more and more in this place, then they can just dissipate. And they're just seen as phenomena arising and passing away. And no stickiness. My name is Nandiyo. And that means, Nandi means to delight, to rejoice. But the opposite. And my teacher actually, he is an Aussie, my very first teacher in Thailand. He is an Aussie from Adelaide, and he gave me that name. I have a feeling, because he was very bad with names. He couldn't remember names, but he used to live with a German monk in Perth who went by the name of Nandiyo. So I think he just made the association. Oh, he's German. We were many people, in Wat Nana Chat, and always many trainees and so on. So call him Nandiyo. So, but Nandi means to rejoice, to delight, and if you also, look at the teachings, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, where the Buddha was explaining the first teaching, it's that Nandi Raga, that delight and the passion, for the desire, and this is what makes it sticky, is the delight and the passion for things. Where else then, by seeing exactly those things, as we come from a place of more openness, spaciousness, seeing these phenomena, whatever they are. Normally it's internal phenomena, because we interpret the world through our internal experiences. We see them as non-stable. They don't last, they just come and they go again, and they don't really have a core, they're ownerless. We see them, and that gives rise to what they call nibbidā, disenchantment, and that's the opposite of Nandi. This is the what's the cooling, the fading away of this delight for whatever there is on the conditioned realm. Yeah. Exactly. The gratification, and the way out, the nisarana, exactly,
Stillness and silence describe peace?
It can, certainly, but it's not limited to that. Yeah. It's a manifestation of that stillness, silence,
Me, like very negative attitude, but I want to hear a little bit more exactly what it means in that teaching.
Yeah. No, it's quite the opposite. It's not a negative term. It's just, say, you've seen it so many times. You've seen it maybe, and you just become a bit, you turn away. It's the way of turning away, instead of going the way of into dukkha, into suffering, following the old, conditioned, repetitive habits, which at many times are unskillful. Not always, but they can be. But if they're not reflected, they lead to more suffering. Or when one becomes disenchanted, you've seen, maybe we're looking here, we're speaking about the practice, we're looking inside, and we see the things happening again, the thoughts. We've seen how they form, what shape they take, or just our pet peeves that we have, or, this is happening again. We all have them. But we've seen it so many times, so in a way it's not so interesting anymore. It's like with your son, maybe in 5 years' time, the kick scooter. He might be really good with it, but also at one stage maybe a motorbike is more interesting, or a car. So we grow, you can even say you grow out of that, of this, it's not a childish habit, it's more like something, because we also know there is something which is more fulfilling, more satisfying, and therefore we give up this lesser piece of, say, delight and so on. So disenchantment means more like going in the direction where, say, that the flame cools down and it's not so interesting. And when we speak about the Anatta-lakkhana Sutta, and becoming disenchanted with the khandhas, this is, we know them, and it's about the knowing which leads to that, because we also see, as we know them, our control is very limited, because normally with there is delusion, ignorance, we have this feeling, there is someone there who is permanent, that is permanent and needs to be satisfied constantly. This is where the senses come in, because the senses, they just go out and they look for gratification and so on. Where else, when we see that it's not so much that we can do in terms of the khandhas, that the control over them is very, very limited. And then we become more and more, we become less and less engaged with them, become more and more dispassionate, disinterested, But we need something to keep us interested, because otherwise we would be maybe just like giving that up, and there would be that void, and that can be scary. That's maybe like the fear that has been spoken about earlier on, giving something up and not knowing where to fall onto. And so this is the positive aspect then of the practice, where this nibbidā is taking shape, is because we also become more fulfilled by, say, doing mindfulness of the body, by becoming less reactive, having less suffering, or just feeling more grounded, feeling fuller as ourselves, more stable in our field, is life, and not a projection of life. And that is what holds us in place. This is what gives us the sense of fulfillment, and can't find another word right now, but just that which carries us. So it's not a scary thing, quite the opposite. And when you look at the Buddha's teaching many times, before this particular step of nibbidā, disenchantment, there's most of the time it's the previous step is developing the perception of impermanence, the anicca sanya. And this is exactly where the insight practice, where it kicks in, because we see, those senses, the sense objects, they are impermanent. The sense consciousness is impermanent, but the body the permanence is. I've discovered a white hair today on my on my shoulder. First time I've seen that. It's very impermanent. Yeah, I can't do much about it. And so, even more so with the inner, what we call the inner aggregates, the sensations, the memories, the perceptions, they are very, very fleeting. But it's because this insight practice, this wisdom practice, which, well, again, first of all, enables this turning away, because it's, well, why should I really freak out about a certain feeling, emotion now? Because it's, it's impermanent, it's changing all the time. But this, by the same token, that also gives us that stability, that inner strength, and which helps this nibbidā, this disenchantment, to really to become stronger and stronger, and then that leads to viraga, this passion, and this is just you can say in a more stronger form of that. It's really not so interesting anymore in the projections and the phenomena, and that leads to vimutti, not the one in Auckland, but to exactly, that liberation, that release, that peace. And that happens from moment to moment. This is really where it can be actualized.
Just because if you don't see the danger,
Mm.
you never get disenchanted, because you know then you have an escape.
Yes.
Just so the stronger the escape, it's closer to, you get closer to disenchantment.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
You work on the danger part.
It's an encouragement. Absolutely. Yeah. The danger of samsara. Yeah. It's a very strong encouragement.
So caught up in the sensual world,
Mm.
the delusion takes hold and then pushes you away.
Mm.
Pushes towards that mostly. So you need that energy,
Mm.
effort to see the danger and then move away from it.
Yeah.
Such a big task.
Yeah. Yes. Upeka. Let us, when we look at the danger of all conditioned phenomena, and we develop the practice, and bringing the heart and the mind also together, bringing, say, the wisdom faculty, as well as the emotional heart, so the compassion and the wisdom, karuna and panya, bringing this together. This is a good way then leading us towards an abidance in equanimity as well. And upeka, this is a lift emotion, which can be practiced, even non-practice. It's more like the daily living experience of a practice, living a life with upeka, or another word of putting it is acceptance, living in acceptance. And to do this, we need the penetrating wisdom, but we need the openness of heart. So bringing those together, it encourages upeka take hold in our lives. And there's a very strong balancing faculty. Because then, also the vicissitudes of life, they're not so challenging anymore. And we know there's a lot of things in our life, in all of our lives, that are very difficult. Life is difficult, but living with upekkha enables us to maybe live a good human life, that with those beautiful qualities that we have, with the openness, the joyfulness, the heartfulness, the gratitude, yet at the same time having also the discerning wisdom to know that everything, all conditioned things are impermanent, and that they are dukkha, and there is no self in the created or the uncreated.
It's not indifference.
No. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite.
In yesterday's talk, you were talking about observer and knower. Can you just explain, because a lot of Western monks, they use these two words. How can observer be a knower?
I use them simultaneously. They are like the same. Yeah. Using sati sampajanya. Yeah. Because when you look at the Satipatthana Sutta, it's all about knowing. And being that knower of the experience, being the knower of the body, being the observer of the sensations, being, the witness of the mind.
I feel sometimes in our day-to-day life, our attitude to our experiences, because sometimes people face their daily challenges as they're going into a battle. Every day is a battle. So when that's the case, it's really, but Ajahn talk about acceptance, which I think is really good because it's experience. It's all different experiences. Some pleasant, some unpleasant. And I was actually going to ask Ajahn a question about what advice you would give to lay people like us. Just 3 advice maybe, how to live a good life. And I think Ajahn talk about equanimity, which is
Yeah. First of all, acceptance. That's not a bad one. Another one, from that place of acceptance, using the daily life as the practice, not separating it, from this is now here, this is the real practice, or maybe at 3 o'clock when we sit finally, No. Practice is happening every moment. And this, the Buddha, what he called atapi, this continuous application, this is very important, because see it for me here, just specifically coming to Dhammagiri, very grateful. I have a lot of space here, and even my interactions, they are very good having this quality time here with you. It's very beneficial, when I go back to my monastery, oh, headache. You know it, it's the same, yeah. And many responsibilities and challenges. So, therefore, trying to use every situation as it arises as a encouragement for practice, for letting go. And also then maybe finally, also that acknowledgement that we are human beings and we make mistakes. And sometimes we make a mess. and not, to beat oneself up for that, because you might have the idea you have been practicing for 10, 15 years now meditation, following the precepts, and but still, I get caught up in certain emotions, or I have maybe on a relational level, it's not very smooth. But then also that, that acknowledgement, and that's a secondary form of acceptance, you could say. Well, the first acceptance, the surrender, is whatever arises, that is it. But then also acceptance of ourselves with, or others, or the world with its imperfections, with its failures, with its, sometimes twisted things.
The difference between non-attachment and indifference. Some people sort of think non-attachment can also, they can be indifferent to certain situations.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So non-attachment, I, for instance, like to use the word non-identification. And when we not identify, say, with our thoughts, again, it doesn't mean we don't have thoughts. We can have all sorts of thoughts. We can have beautiful thoughts, not so beautiful thoughts, crazy thoughts, or the thoughts that's been going on, for so many weeks, months, years in our mind, psyche. And these are just thoughts, but we become, when we not identify with them, we become not the thinker of the thoughts. So the thoughts can just play, but we are not identify with it, and that is basically it. So, not non-attachment to thoughts doesn't mean we don't have them. It's just we don't attach to them, we don't identify them, or we don't believe in them. And they just do. They're just there. But we take the position of, say, the witness, where it's indifference. It's a position of a non-practitioner or someone who is not interested in what's going on. It's akusala. It's not very helpful, because it's coming from a place of where we are not interested and also in the outcome of our actions. Whereas if we non-identify with that, that gives us also more space, more wiggle room to make positive changes. Again, if needed, or just let maybe that emotion, that thought, that memory, let it just be, let it pass, So we, by doing this, we create good karma. We create positive habits. Whereas if we are indifferent, we, born out of ignorance, we create more unskillful, unwholesome karma, and that leads to more and more suffering. So, and this might be then also the distinguishing factor. You know, indifference, couldn't care less, leads to suffering, whereas non-attachment, non-identification, non-belief leads to happiness. Because that place of being maybe a bit of a challenging word, a disbeliever, and someone who is not identified, say, with the body, you know it, when you just think about it, when you're not identified with the body, that's quite something, yeah. You have a lot less worries, yeah, about what the body should be like, what it was like, what it will be like. And having a lot less worries, that's happiness. That's a place of well-being.
Should non-attachment be practiced to situations, not really your thoughts and body and so on, but outside situations, happenings also?
Depends. Outside situation again, of course, yes, but there might also be situations where change is needed. Yeah. So, if you are in these situations, if you were indifferent then to injustice, abuse, that would be unwholesome, that would be unskillful. And this is important to have this distinguishing faculty which knows what to do, and that's wisdom. Satipanya, mindfulness and wisdom, they inform us what is wholesome, what is skillful, and what is not. It's like the serenity prayer from a Christian tradition. Give me the grace to accept things that I cannot change. Give me the serenity to change things that I can change, and give me the wisdom to distinguish in between the two. Give me and that is, so wisdom, a lived, wise experience. That's it. Bear in mind, just don't neglect the practice. Just keep on doing it, and that's it. And doesn't have to be special. Just wherever we go, mindful, awake, aware. This is it. Present moment. Well, thanks for coming. Hope to see you a bit later. Yeah.